Guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome, and please hit the subscribe button. And if you're returning, please hit the likes button. And if you're passing through, hit the likes button. And if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button. And welcome to all of my new subscribers. You're gonna love it here. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And so today we're going to talk about some updates on the Micah Miller case. And I'm sure, again, that you all have all heard about it. But again, I like to talk about it my way on my channel. So I like to come on and give my commentary. So if you've heard it and you don't want to hear it again, click off. So you don't need to leave a comment or even bother to listen to it. You can just click off and, don't watch it. So I hear a lot of people come on and say, you're talking about the same thing. I've heard it all before. So if you've heard it and you don't want to hear it again, go ahead and click off. I don't mind. But I love the comments. Keep them coming. I love the conversation that all of my subscribers give. And I love it. So keep the comments coming. I love the interaction. I love that we all can come on and share our interactions with each other. So keep those comments coming, please. So we're going to get into it because there was some interesting information that came up. A lot of new information that came up over the past week and a half. There were some interviews done with the father that came up and also with the best friend. There were some text messages that came out this past week. And so we're going to get right into it. I was interested to see some of the text messages that he had shared. And there was, I was just appalled. And I hope that this pastor has not gone and preached another sermon at this church, because he needs to really step down as the pastor of this church. And I hope that he lost a lot of his congregation, because he really does not need to be a pastor of this church anymore. So I hope that he's lost a lot of his parishioners, because once again, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing and he does not need to pastor any church. I do think that, she had a bright future ahead of her. I don't think that someone that had filed for divorce, and I say this again and again and again, would go out and unalive herself. She was making plans. She filed for divorce. She was making plans to go to church that Sunday. She just had, she was making all these different plans. So she had plans to go and, plan for the future, to get away from this narcissistic person. So I don't think that she would just then say, oh, I'm going to get a divorce, to I'm going to go and unalive myself. So I do think that the family is absolutely right. And if I was her family, I would go to the ends of the earth to find out what happened to my loved one. And especially with this monster, with all the things, putting trackers on her car, slashing the tires, following her, the whole nine, and some of the new information that has come to light, I would definitely want to investigate this guy and keep the investigation open. And I do think that, with the bruises being found on her hands that were found, I do think, why didn't the police investigate that and say, absolutely not, we're not going to just release this body to the husband. We're going to look further into this. We're going to investigate this a little further, and we're going to see exactly what's going on. We're not just going to release this body to him and have her cremated. We're going to investigate this a little further, because there's trauma caused. There were also allegedly bullet holes in trees, and her body was found in this part of the water, and belongings spread here and there, and there was no wave currents being, so it just gets bizarre. The story just gets, it's a mystery. And we need to keep this story out there, and we need to keep it in the forefront, because so many times these stories are put out there, and then we put them out there and we keep it going for a little while, and then it just dies down, and these people end up getting away with it, like the Sebastian Rogers case. The stories die down and nothing gets done about it. So we need to keep these stories out there in the forefront, and we need to keep everybody aware and keep them going, so that these people don't get away. And Mika, or Micah, I keep calling her Mika. I don't know why. Micah gets the justice that she deserves. And we need to keep Sebastian Rogers case open as well, so that we can figure out what's going on with him, because it's going on a long time. I think almost 3 months that this little boy has not been found. And we need to figure out what's going on with his case as well. So I want to keep these cases in the public eye, and make sure that we find out exactly what's going on, and bring justice to Micah, and get JP, if he's done something to her, if he was involved in this case, he needs to be brought to justice. And that's my opinion. So we're going to get started, and we're going to look into some of the stuff that has surfaced in this case. So I was interested because his ex-wife, there was talk that when she was married to him, she said that he was into prostitution, and he was, hooked on prostitutes. And so I'm going to find that video, and I'm going to share it with you all, and we'll go from there. So we'll start with that video. And I'm going to find that one and see which one that is. I believe it's this one here. So it says the documents, in the documents, his ex-wife Allison alleged he had an addiction to prostitution, and he had carried on an affair later. He had carried on an affair, and later revealed to be he was, when he was married to her, he had an affair with Micah when he was married. I think that came from when she was babysitting their children. And I do believe that was when she was babysitting for him. He had groomed her, and he was married, and she, I think he was counseling her husband. They were best friends. The first husband that Micah was married to, he took them under the wing, and he wanted to counsel them, and he would spend a lot of time with Micah. And that's how he started grooming her and started spending a lot of time with her. And so that's how, and then he ended up breaking up that marriage. And I am going to later find the video where the ex-husband does speak out. And there is an interview where he says that, he does give a little bit of a statement about JP. And I need to find that video. So on to the next, where the father actually comes on, and they did an interview, and they actually go out to the site, and they give, and it's very interesting, where her body was found in one part of this I think it's a national park where she was found, and her body was found in one part, but the GUN was found in another part, and then her belongings were found here. It's just bizarre, and it just does not add up. And it's like, why didn't the police do a better investigation? And what's going on? Do the police go to his church? Are they, are they on his, I don't know. It's something just does not seem right with this case. And it's the same way. I don't mean to, compare the two, but it's like in Tennessee with Sebastian Rogers case. It's like the police just are looking over certain things. I mean, the father said in Micah's case that there were people that called in, were given clues. They were telling them, they were given the police information, and it was not being followed up. And the father did that interview, and he said that, information was being called in and there was no follow-up on the information. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not even going to call JP a pastor anymore, because he's not an example of a pastor. You get up in the pulpit every Sunday and you talk about your wife and your personal problems. And that's not something that a pastor should be doing. You should never get up in a pulpit and talk about your personal problems, about something that goes on at home. It's just not appropriate. So this guy he rubs me the wrong way, and I just cannot stand JP, and I'm sorry. God's working with me. Okay. So the next video I am going to play is, we're going to do let's do the interview. We'll do the interview with the family.
Family and friends of Micah Miller, the pastor's wife in South Carolina, whose death has been making national headlines. Miller's body found in a North Carolina state park. Authorities say she died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Her family and friends tell News Nation they do not believe that she died by suicide. They say they have video to prove it. Investigative correspondent Rich McHugh has the exclusive details.
Good morning, Adrian. The case of Micah Miller here in Myrtle Beach has so many unanswered questions, but the video you're about to see raises even more questions for Micah Miller's family.
Deep inside Lumber River State Park, after an extensive hike and through a stretch of knee-deep water, is this desolate backcountry where authorities say Micah Miller took her own life. This is video her family filmed when they visited.
The theory of suicide does not add up to me, because you're telling me her body floated all the way down this stagnant water and her belongings were all the way up here. We had to walk down a separate trail, climb through all this mud and trees and fallen debris to even get to where her body was, down the water. It's not like she could have, left her belongings and walked down the water and then committed suicide down here, and then somehow the bullets and everything stayed over there.
So the bank where the bird boxes and stuff are is where the shell casings and such were found. And the gun was found forward of that, right in the water. And then her body was about 40 meters away, and the water doesn't flow at all. There's no way she would have floated 40 meters away from the edge. It is as if she was placed there.
In surveillance footage we obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, you can see her leaving home, buying a gun, and stopping at this remote gas station. I went there and spoke with the owner. He saw Micah Miller that day.
Did she look like she was waiting for somebody here?
No. Not at all. She got the drink, came outside, used the restroom, The party father got her gas, and she was left.
Just an ordinary day.
Nothing special, nothing, like just regular day, regular thing.
She texted me again at 3:47 and said, "Are you singing this Sunday? I'll be at second service." And I said, "Yes."
Micah's friend Angela Clark was among the last to speak with her the night before she died, making plans for Sunday, offering to help with car payments.
She said, "Okay, I'm excited to see you up there."
Despite all the surveillance, she is not buying the official ruling.
This is not somebody that's ready to end their life. This is somebody that's making plans for the weekend,
Right.
and getting her car payment made. Why do you worry about getting your car payment made? For that matter, why do you pay a lawyer $5,000 and file for divorce and have someone served? There's so many unanswered questions. Like I said, I can't wrap my brain around it. None of it there's so much that just doesn't make sense.
Her family agrees. It does not add up.
So you do not believe she took her own life?
I do not. I believe that it was all staged. I believe that the whole thing was premeditated.
It's all part of why the family hopes that the FBI is taking a deep look into this case. Adrian?
Okay, so to me, if I'm planning on, and there's so many different scenarios. I mean, I know that they say, people act a certain way when they're going to unalive themselves or they're planning on doing that. So I can't, say here nor there. If I'm going to do that, I'm not going to call someone and say, "Hey, see you tomorrow," or "What are you going to do, next week? Let's have lunch." I have heard where, people are planning to unalive themselves and they, start giving their belongings away or, seeing their loved ones before they go and making sure that their loved ones have something special of theirs, things like that. And sometimes they make, special posts on Facebook or whatnot. But I don't think that, going out, calling someone and say, "I'll see you tomorrow at church. Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that?" I don't think that, that was the case. I don't think that spending, like she said, $5,000 on an attorney to get into a divorce, to make plans to make your future better, that you're going to go out and do this. This guy had harassed her so many years. He had slashed her tires. And I think her going out to get a GUN was for protection. And he knew this. He had a tracker on her phone. I also think that he was so good at what he did that he was following her. And so he knew every move that she made. And he set this up. He knew, he plotted this every step of the way. But I always say, what's done in the dark always comes to the light. And, sometimes people think that they're so good at things that they do and you're never going to get caught. You will. God sees all. And sometimes when we think that we're getting away with something, we're not. You will get caught eventually. And it might take years, it might take months, it might take a day, it might take, 2 weeks, it might take, years, but you will get caught in what you do. It's just a matter of time. His behavior, going out, the very next day, having lunch or whatever he was having, dinner or whatever with this woman, and sending, flirty text messages to this waitress. Does that sound like someone that's very upset because his wife just passed? No. And then to sit up and have this fake funeral and to sit up and cry and whine and do all of that. and I wanted to bring her back from the dead and all of this. Give me a break. What an actor. Because I would never do that. So let me share the next video. And this one, I am going to let's see. And she had been telling people that she was very afraid. This is a friend that shared that she said that she was very afraid of him. And this is a man, I believe, one of the parishioners that went to the church. That Micah attended.
Off what we've seen, what I
already do.
And he is just not buying into the notion that this was suicide. What else did you find out from him?
Well, he basically, I think, echoes what a lot of people are feeling at this time, which is like really just troubled. He knows both of them. A lot of people here are reticent to talk. He wasn't. He was also at this church, which is JP. He goes by JP's church. This man is Tim Carter. I believe we have some sound of he and I talking back and forth. So let's just roll that sound.
I'm not going to judge my gut feeling. I don't agree. The young lady was energetic. She was making plans. It just doesn't sound like someone committing suicide. It sounds like someone that's getting ready to live life again, really starting her life over. And just going off what we've seen, what I witnessed, you know, the character and how treatment and how we were treated and talked to. And I just don't believe it for a minute.
You mentioned she was making plans. Like, what type of plans?
From what I understand, she had an appointment to get her hair done this week. She was looking forward to moving on. She had filed paperwork and just served it 2 days prior.
So not behavior somebody who's planning to take their own life.
Not if I'm thinking about suicide. I'm not worried about
right.
court dates and paperwork or my hair. It doesn't sound that to me.
So basically, his sentiments echo what the family's saying. They're asking for a deep investigation here, actually.
So I have another question, and it's about another pastor. There seem to be a lot of pastors and deacons and leadership and former members, et cetera. But to be clear, I think, so just to get clarity, I think you spoke with another pastor as well. I'm not sure if he was at that church or another church, but it's somebody who actually knows John Paul, and he had a very different read on the whole situation. What do you know?
Yeah, he basically had the same, like he's known JP for his whole life. He was in leadership here at this church. He said point blank, JP did not kill his wife, Micah. I said, how do you know? He said, I don't know, but I know JP. So he's very defensive of his character. He says, look, he was counseling them. Something did happen, he said, in January, but he doesn't know what.
What about this whole notion that he thinks that there's an alibi to this, that the pastor in question has an alibi, which would get him off scot-free? Why won't he just come forth and tell everybody before the media speculation, runs amok?
That's a good question. This pastor said JP was in another part of South Carolina at the time. That will come out. So I said, like, why don't we all just talk on the record? And then he officially just declined about 10 minutes before air tonight. He said, I cannot talk to you on the record about this anymore.
And then just to be clear here, Rich, the incidents that Micah had reported, it's redacted. We don't know who the suspect is, but if you read it, it kind of looks like she knows the person, that the same person kept coming back and, coming after her. She says, I got a razor in my tire. I had a tire deflation device. I went to get it repaired and they discovered the tracking device. And as she's at these places and getting gas, this suspect is driving up and kind of almost chasing her location to location. And there's witnesses to this. Why is it all redacted? And is anybody saying who that suspect is? Is it John Paul, the estranged pastor husband?
People believe it is. Why it's redacted is anybody's guess. We're talking with local police here. There's something I do want to bring up that we haven't discussed yet, is that in an affidavit in the probate court, Micah's family just filed trying to like take control of this. Her sister wrote, that Micah said to her, if I end up with a bullet in my head, it was not by me, it was JP. That is in court documents. So that's like she's almost speaking from the grave. Actually, it's kind of chilling.
Rich McHugh, it's still a mystery, and I'm going to depend on you to try to see if you can't sort through a bit more. Thank you for this.
So everything points to him. And I don't understand why the police did not look into this a little further. And they just blew it off by saying that, the bruises on her hand were from the GUN being, from her unaliving herself. Come on. If the family went out and did that investigation, why is it taking so many cases for the family to go out and have to investigate their own loved ones' cases? I don't get that. There's also rumor that his alibi is falling apart. That this woman that he says that he was with wasn't actually with her. I know that, well, I don't know, but I hope that Micah will get justice and this case will be solved and that he will get what he deserves. And I hope that, yes, she is speaking from the grave, because she was telling them all along and they just blew her off. So I think that, does he have friends in the police department down there that they're just, blowing all of this off? The family had to sign over, something in order to see her body. And who gets up there and does a funeral themselves over their loved ones? Who would have that I don't think I could do it. I don't think that I could do it. I don't think I could do it. But let's move on. The next I want to share is the, let's see. I think it's I did have the text messages of I hope I did not erase them. But there was text messages that he said, that she was, let's see. I hope I did not. Oh, here they are. Great. And I'm going to share these with you all. I still have them. Oh, here they are. And here are the text messages that she that the family shared. And it says, "I'm armed, I'm ready. Micah can fix all of this. This doesn't help anything. Threats and this is what the family is responding back. So I'll leave these up so that you all can read these. And this is going back and forth of what he's saying. If you come here, the cops will be here. This is what the sister's telling him. Waiting. If you stay home, they don't need to be involved. You can't make a threat about being armed and come to my home in the middle of the night. That's not safe for anyone involved." This is what this guy is saying. So you're telling me that this guy, a alleged pastor, is sharing this type of stuff, and then he's going to get up and preach a sermon, and these people are listening to this stuff, and he's also sharing these sermons in church on a Sunday and doing this and bad mouthing her on in the pulpit, and these people are sitting up here listening to this guy. I mean, it's like a cult. Because I don't know what type of people are going to this church and listening to this and thinking that this is okay, because this is not what God wants us to listen to. This is nothing that says in the Bible. This is not the teaching of what God wants us to listen to. God does not want us to listen to chaos and violence and abuse and all of that. That's not what our God wants us to listen to. So I don't understand what these people are getting out of this guy. It was also alleged that he had been involved with young children, allegedly. So if there's rumors going around about all of this stuff, why are these people still going to his church? I don't understand it. Because you can stop it all. You can stop it all, and you can stop going, you can stop attending, and you can stop giving to this church. Stop tithing and just stop going. Especially if you have young children going there. It's not a place for children to be, to look up to this guy that is teaching your children. Because he couldn't teach any of my children anything. I don't get it. I don't understand it. They're brainwashed. And this poor young woman that had so much ahead of her, that was trying to get away from this guy, and that did the right thing, and that she just wanted to get him out of her life. It's like, move on with yours and let me move on with mine. I just want to be rid of you. Let me move on. She just wanted to move on. And he wanted that control over her, that he couldn't let her do that. And this is a dangerous person. Someone that puts a tracker on your car, that slashes your tires, that wants to know everywhere you go. It's dangerous. The next video I'm going to play is the interview with her dad. And it's her dad that said in detail, and I believe that this guy had sexual relations with different men. And let's see. Here it is. And we'll play that. It's JLR.
And we are live. JLR Investigates.
And I
Come
hope I
on
didn't get in
in.
trouble.
Come on in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. All are welcome on JLR Investigates. You don't want to miss this one right here, folks, because we are going to share an interview that Law and Crime had with the dad of Micah Miller and also the sister of Micah Miller. And we're talking about Michael and Sierra.
You know, and speaking out for Micah.
Let's talk about that because, and I want to be very clear here. Despite the findings from law enforcement that Micah had died by her own hand, that the sheriff's office saying John Paul was not in Robeson County when Micah died, do you believe there is more to the story, correct?
Yes, it's there's a lot of details that they did not cover, and because it was equivalent in their eyes to previous self-inflicted wounds, I believe the law allows them to do less work. It does not prevent them from doing more work. And since there were multiple shell casings found and a live round found, it already didn't make much sense. So it would seem that they would automatically do a complete toxicology, not just blood alcohol, and a complete autopsy, which they did not do. And we're just devastated that they didn't, because John Paul rushed the cremation process. During the briefing, we pressed pretty hard for more information and such. And the sheriff's office was trying to compress the briefing for us, and then they gave us a flash drive. It doesn't sound like Micah during the 911 call. She's so slow and so, but then later there are, I haven't even heard them myself, honestly. I have someone who's going through all that for me and filtering the information, because otherwise the more information I get that sounds off, the more furious I get, and I need to be able to focus and control my emotions. But there was screaming going on and such, and that's not something indicative of a self-inflicted. That sounds like a fight. And with the bruising on her hands and on her arm, scratches on her hands, indicating defensive wounds. So very frustrating.
When you say defensive wounds, is that something that was told to you by a medical professional when you talked about multiple casings there? Where did you get this information? And when you brought this information to law enforcement or brought it or mentioned to them, what did they say?
Okay, as far as finding out, the park ranger took us back to the scene and pointed out, here's where she would have been standing. Here's where the shell casings and the live round were, which also doesn't make sense. She knew how to use a weapon. She got the weapon for self-protection. She told me days beforehand, Dad, I really feel like I need a weapon for protection. And she knows how to use it. She's qualified. She's been through training. She's not going to charge the weapon and eject a live round. She already knows the first rule of gun, use is knowing the condition of the gun. So we got the information about the shells. I did it directly from the park ranger. And then when we brought that up to law enforcement, they just said, well, they had no answer. They really just had no answer why, any kind of, not even a speculation. They didn't even say, well, she probably did this, probably did that. They just said, this is what we have. And there is what would be an apparent bullet hole in a tree, which I have a picture of. And they just didn't seem to put the effort forth. So we're very disappointed in that.
And the defensive wounds, was that from the park ranger too, or?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we looked at her hands during the viewing. We took pictures of her from the viewing. It was the worst day of my life. And she had scratches on her arms on her hand. And the coroner in training had the chief coroner with her, but she spoke out and said, well, maybe that's from when they retrieved her from the water. And I said, okay, of course, maybe. Was there blood in those scratches and such? They had no answer. Very disappointing. So
Okay, so that's just a little bit of the interview. I'm sure that you all have seen the whole interview, but if she's getting scratched, brushed through the water and waves, you're going to get cuts and you're going to have some type of, blood in there. But if it's just bruising from being handled, you're not going to have any blood. So you're not going to have that. So I think that they should have done a little bit more of an investigation. There were also in this interview that he said, and JLR is just an awesome guy. I watch him myself. With this sidebar interview with the father, he also said something about JP having relations with different males, and how Micah had said that if she became pregnant, that it was going to be a black baby. So this guy tortured her left and right. This guy groomed her, tortured her, and just brainwashed her and had her so afraid for years. And he knew what he was doing. And when she broke away from his control, he couldn't handle that anymore. Typical narcissistic person. When you break away from a person that is a narcissist and you finally break that control that they have, they don't know what to do. So they start going crazy and they lose it. And they try to find another person to feed off of. For a little while, that works. Until they're like, and they go back to that one person that they've controlled all these years. And when he found that it didn't work with Micah and he lost that control for good, and she said, enough is enough, and I'm going on and I'm moving on. I'm not going to let you control me anymore. I'm done. I want something more. I want to be free. I want to live my life. And she knew that she was worth more than what he was giving her. And so she was moving on. And he couldn't handle that. He wanted to continue to have that control over her. He wanted to continue, even though he didn't want her. He didn't want anybody else to have her either. He knew that she was a precious jewel. And he wanted to keep her to himself. So no, I don't believe that she unalived herself. I believe that he couldn't have the control that he wanted. So he set this whole plot in motion, and he did it from the time when he said that she was mentally ill, and he started putting this plan in motion, and he was very smart. And I think that he had help. I think that he had help from the attorney, because it was said that the attorney had this land out there. And I believe that I heard this. And you subscribers, help me out. Comment, help me out. And let me know if you've heard that too, that there was something said about that the attorney had land out there, or some type of land or something out there. And that, you know, so I believe that. I also watched this. I was trying to find a video where this owl, they said that was this owl, and how you could come up with, you know, the voice makeover and how Al could do that. And I seen another YouTuber, and I believe it's Christina Randall. I watched her, and she did a video on how Al did the voice makeover. And it was just so incredible of how you can actually do that. And I thought, man, you know, because at first I didn't believe that. And then when she actually did an example of it, I thought, oh my gosh, maybe so. Because it did pause. And then it was like, you know, because she was so calm and, you know, I just don't believe that she did that. This precious angel. So I'm going to keep doing the stories on this because I want to get answers. And my subscribers, I want to thank you for coming through for me and always doing the comments. And please continue to keep them coming. Please. And also I do cooking videos. So I encourage you all to please watch my cooking videos and go and give them a thumbs up as well. And watch those. If you don't cook, you'll get some inspiration from those cooking videos as well. Please keep those coming and watch those as well and get those likes up for me as well. You guys have come through for me and thank you so, so much. But I want to end this video on a somber note. The reason I have not been on for a week and a half, kind of a sad note. And I didn't want to start this video off saying this, but I want prayers from all of my viewers. And my husband and I, he lost his daughter, and it was my stepdaughter. So I would like prayers. She was 32 years old. And I just want to say, sometimes you know, make sure that you hold your loved ones in your arms, and you make sure that you always pick up that phone, and you always make sure that you call. And when God's giving you that nudge to call and say, I love you. And, you know, I always tell my kids when they walk out the door, I love you. And we're always constantly saying, I love you. I love you. And you can never say, I love you enough. And so please keep our family in prayer. I came on today because I know that she would want me to come on to keep the channel up. But please keep our family in prayer, and especially my husband, because she meant the world to him. And just, you know, keep us uplifted. And as you know, I'm sure Micah's family, you know, didn't know that was going to be the last time that they seen her. You know, we didn't know it was, you know, it was going to be the last time that we seen her. It was the Wednesday after Mother's Day. And so just keep us in prayer, and, you know, you know, that we're, you know, we're going to keep it going here, and just always make sure that you just, you know, always tell your loved ones that, you know, you love them, and, you know, never take life for granted, because you never know when it's going to be the last time that you see your loved ones. So, you know, make sure that you always say you love them, and always make sure that you treat your loved ones kind, and be kind to the people that you love and keep them close to your heart. So thank you all so much for watching my channel. And thank you all for the new subscribers that have subscribed. And I hope that if you're watching this video, that you do subscribe to my channel, and please hit the likes button and also the bells button. And until next time, please hit those comments. Please keep those comments coming, because I do answer all of my comments. And, we can agree to disagree here. And I appreciate all of the comments and all of the people that do watch my videos. So thank you so much. And until next time, bye.